All right, so week 7 recap. You'll have to excuse my dog. He's laying down there chewing on a bone. I got plenty of videos to shell out tonight, so we're starting with the recap. And we're going to do some interesting videos. But there's going to be 2 or 3 of them out tonight, probably 3. Some very interesting around the league stuff that needs to get put out there. But first of all, the recap. Uh, it started Thursday night with Denver going into, was that game at Arizona? Where is it? Yeah, and Denver blew out Arizona 45-10. Josh Rosen talked all that shit and apparently couldn't back it up because he got his ass skunked. Defense caused a lot of turnovers. That one's not really surprising. So moving on to Sunday's games. We're just going to start it off. The Los Angeles Chargers beat the Tennessee Titans 20-19. Yeah. Sorry about that. Tennessee went full-blown dumbass and didn't tie the game up. Went for a 2-point conversion and failed. So they gave that one to the Chargers. Who would have known if it would have went to overtime? So Tennessee screwed us this week. They could have helped us out. New England beat Chicago 38-31. Chicago completed a Hail Mary at the end of the game, but it stalled out at the 1-yard line. He caught it at the 1-yard line. So that was a close one. The Colts demolished the Bills 37-5. That's not too surprising. I figured Derek Anderson would do a little bit lineup, but that didn't happen. Blake Bortles got benched. Houston beat Jacksonville 20-7. Jacksonville still looks like shit. They've scored 28 points in the entire month of October. Yeah. And just to give you a comparison, Kansas City scored 24 in 1/2 in October. Detroit edged out Miami 32-21. I think Detroit's kind of like an under the cover team, kind of like a dark horse. Nobody really expects them to beat anybody, but they will. But they could lose to anybody too. The Vikings beat the Jets 37-17. Philadelphia screwed themselves. Carolina came back in the fourth quarter, down 17 and won 21-17. Philadelphia had a chance to tie it at the end of the game, and they figured it'd be really cute to go for it on 4th and 2 and try to get in the end zone and win. That didn't work. Philadelphia also got an award this week for going full-blown dumbass. Tampa Bay beat Cleveland in overtime 26-23. New Orleans beat Baltimore 24-23 because Justin Tucker missed the extra point at the end of the game. He couldn't really believe it, and neither could the rest of us, but should have made your extra point, dude. Could have been saying something different here. Washington, this is a game I really didn't pay attention to. Washington beat Dallas 20-17. The Rams killed the 49ers, no surprise there, 39-10. Sunday night, Kansas City ended up beating Cincinnati 45-10, destroyed that football team, which was kind of a surprise. I figured it'd be closer than that, but I'm glad it wasn't. It was an absolute blowout. And just to top it off, Monday night's game, Atlanta beat New York, the Giants, 23-20. The Giants made a late comeback, but they just didn't have enough time. But it was a pretty defensive game, honestly. But I really just don't think that many people pay attention to those two teams. So without messing up any of my other videos, I'll try to go around some stuff here and talk about some other stuff. New England proved that they were beatable once again, but they also proved why they're the Patriots. They're a tough team to beat. I mean, you can play them close, but good luck beating them. Chicago played pretty decent. It wasn't all Mitchell Trubisky. It was more special teams than it was anything else that kept them in the game. Again, the Chargers just... Okay. I broke down. We're going to talk about the AFC West a little bit. All these analysts talking about the Chargers still going to the Super Bowl. Okay, listen. They went to the Super Bowl with Kellen Winslow. They went to the Super Bowl against the 49ers and got their ass just smoked. I don't know what I don't remember what the score was, but they blew their ass out. The Chargers, here's the problem with the Chargers over the past 4 years. They cannot win in the AFC. They can't do it. Well, not just the AFC, but the AFC West. They definitely can't win a game in the AFC West. I mean, once in a while you'll see them steal one from Oakland by a point or two, like they did against Tennessee, you know, but they just can't beat the top tier teams in the AFC West. They can't beat Denver when they're playing like garbage. They can barely beat Oakland half the time when they're playing like garbage. And they sure as hell can't beat us. We've wrecked the Chargers in Los Angeles, and we've wrecked them at home. And it's been even worse at home. We beat them even worse at home. The Chargers, they cannot win in the AFC West. You know how hard it is to make the playoffs when you can't beat your own divisional teams? It's hard. It's tough. You can't. It's almost impossible. Because if you ain't beating your divisional teams, you aren't winning the division. Besides that, they have played no one. They have played absolutely no one. The two winning teams that they have played beat them by 10 or more. And that was Kansas City and the Los Angeles Rams. So I don't know where the whole Super Bowl thing's coming from. And just to prove my point, I'm going to bring this up. So I don't know where all the Chargers hype is coming from. But I just don't understand it. I really don't. Let's see. I don't want to buy tickets. Why the hell would I want to buy tickets to this garbage ass team unless they're playing Kansas City? Here we go. Here's the full schedule. Okay, so they played Kansas City. They got beat. They played Buffalo. They beat them. They played the Rams. They got beat by the Rams. They played San Francisco, and they beat them by 2. Did anybody not see what the Rams and the Chiefs did to the 49ers? I mean, the Rams played them with a backup, but Kansas City played them with Jimmy Garoppolo and still beat them by 10. I think it was 11 to be exact. But the Rams demolished them with a backup. And the Chargers played them when they had a backup, and they lost by 2, or they won by 2. They played Oakland, and this is where I'll give them credit. They beat Oakland 26-10. But have they not seen what other teams are doing to Oakland? The Seahawks beat them. The Seahawks beat them 27-3. The Seahawks. The Rams beat them. What was it? 33-13. The Broncos beat them by 1 point, and here comes the Chargers, and they beat them. They beat them 26-10. Who cares? They absolutely destroyed Cleveland. Tampa Bay beat Cleveland. Oakland beat Cleveland. Oakland beat Cleveland. There's no excitement there because they beat them 38-10. That's not exciting. They played Tennessee and they won by 1 because they made a dumbass choice by going for it on a 2-point conversion when they could have tied it and took it into overtime and had another chance. So Tennessee could have possibly beat them. And Tennessee's not a great team. Hell, Baltimore blanked them 21-0. Which, by the way, I'm not saying Baltimore is a pushover because they're not. Baltimore is a decent team. I mean, the Saints only beat them by 1 because they missed an extra point. Things could have went different. But the Saints, in my opinion, are the best team in the NFC. They have a bye week this week, and then next week they are playing at Seattle, at Oakland, then they're home for Denver, home against Arizona. Then they got to play at Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati, at Kansas City versus Baltimore, and at Denver. If you think that the Los Angeles Chargers are going to win, they'll be lucky if they win one of these last 5 games. They'll be damn lucky if they win one of these last 5 games, and that's maybe Denver. They'll be lucky. They will be lucky if they beat one of these last 5 teams. And by the way, that's at Denver. And Denver is not an easy place to play, even in a year like this year and last year when they're doing terrible. And Kansas City proved that one. It's a tough place to play, and so did the Rams. They only lost to the Rams by 3. So here's my predictions for the Chargers, right? They're going to come off this bye week. They're going to go to Seattle. It's possible they could beat them, but it's also possible Seattle could beat them, so I'll give Seattle the home field advantage. I say they'll lose that one. Then I think they'll beat Oakland again. They'll play Denver. They might beat them in Los Angeles, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. So they'll definitely beat the Cardinals. So let's see. That puts them at they're 5-2 right now. So I'd put them at 5-3, 6-3, 7-3, 8-3. Okay, now these last games: Pittsburgh lost, 8-4. Cincinnati, possible loss. I'm going to say they lose that one, 8-5. Anybody that's decent or beyond decent is probably going to beat this team. So that's 8-5. Then they're going to go to Kansas City. They're definitely not winning that one. So I'm going to say that's 8-6 versus Baltimore. They're probably going to lose that one too. Baltimore's a good team. So that's 8-7, and then they're probably going to lose at Denver, 8-8. That's what I say. At best, this team will finish 9-7, just like they do every year. At best, they will finish 9-7. You are absolutely out of your mind if you think they're going to win at Pittsburgh. They could possibly beat Cincinnati depending on who shows up to play. They're definitely not going to win at Kansas City. They get blown out in their own stadium, let alone when they come to Kansas City. When they come to Kansas City, they get blown out. And Kansas City playing at home this year is ridiculous. Baltimore, they're probably going to lose that one, even though they're playing at home. Baltimore's a hell of a team. Denver, they're playing at Denver. I don't see them winning that game. You are absolutely out of your mind if you think they're beating at least 2 of these teams. You are out of your mind. They've had the easy part of their schedule. Tennessee, losing team. Cleveland, losing team. Oakland, very losing team. San Francisco, very losing team. Buffalo, very losing team. That's all the teams that they beat. That's it. And the teams that they lost to, Kansas City and the Rams. And they had one of those being a home game. And they beat them by 10 or more points. The Chargers they're not going to the Super Bowl. And if they make the playoffs, look who they have to deal with. New England, possibly Kansas City for the way that they're playing, and possibly having home field advantage, which some people say that's a disadvantage right now. I would be surprised if Kansas City loses a home game this year. They play absolutely out of their minds at Kansas City. Their defense plays way better. Their offense is always on point. The way that they play at Kansas City this year, San Francisco, 35-10 at half. At half. I get it. The 49ers put a comeback together, but good Lord, they play ridiculous at home. I don't see them losing at home. I just don't. And you know, we got I'll admit our easier games are at home this year. But that's okay, because if we can play that good on the road, all right then. All right, so enough with that video. We're going to cut this off right here. And then next, I'm probably going to do my next week's picks. And then after that, we're doing Around the League. And that was a little sneak peek of Around the League. So let's go ahead and do the picks.